Welcome to the Tesla Power Podcast, the Tesla energy community covering solar panels, solar roof, and Powerwall for your home. I'm Aaron Brady. Today, let's talk about the solar industry down under. Let's talk about certification requirements for battery installations. Let's talk about competition for Tesla's solar roof. Let's talk about a residential wind electricity generation preview. And why was I such a Debbie Downer on the last episode? Let's do it. We'll kick off the pod with community input. You can participate by leaving a comment below. You can link your own YouTube videos. You can call 203-816-5150, or you can email teslapowerpodcast@gmail.com. Something you can also do pretty easily is record an unlisted video question in the YouTube app, send a link so I can put your video question in the show. First up, we have Trevor. He is saying that I'm making him reconsider his potential solar purchase. Let's take a look. Quote, giving me second thoughts on moving forward with my Tesla solar roof, or with my Tesla solar. If I purchase Tesla solar and it's installed in my house, how can the utilities force me to use grid power instead of my PV battery system? I can't risk 40 grand only to have to pay full price for electricity and a Tesla system that didn't work because of the utilities. How's that legal? If I have a physical transfer switch on my house, I don't see how they can do that, end quote. I was a real Debbie Downer on the last episode. I mean, it wasn't my intention, I promise. You know, the reality, though, is that many of us face some uphill battles, in trying to get all of the incentives aligned for all of the parties. Us as consumers, Tesla as suppliers, and utilities as the primary source of electricity for our communities. These incentives just aren't always aligned. So this results in difficulties that get some of us stuck in PTO purgatory. And, it's those difficulties that pushed me to start this podcast in hopes that my woes could help others avoid them, right? I do take the criticism, though. I should be more, constructive, hopeful, less doom and gloom for sure. I want to address two specific things in your comment, though. Number one, you're right. The utility cannot force you to use their electricity. You are definitely welcome to go off grid and provide your own electricity. And further this, where Jack Rickard noted that the grid could adjust the frequency to turn off your solar system, if you have solar and batteries, you'd simply disconnect from the grid and use the electricity coming from your solar system directly. But this can only be done if you have battery storage. And then the second thing I wanted to address specifically was that the investment in generating and storing your own electricity won't be a waste. In fact, it may be the very best way for you to, guarantee energy security for you and your family. To put a really fine point on this, I specifically encourage you to move forward with your system. I just want to make sure that you're taking some input from the wider community to make your experience as good as possible. Try to avoid the crap that we had to go through, right? And I would say the single best piece of advice that I can offer is this. Do not change your order after permits are pulled. If you do, you're just asking for pain later in the process. And then based on Frosty GT's experience, you might also check with the utility to make sure they can accommodate your added capacity at your address. This will be especially helpful if you're in a rural area or maybe in an aging neighborhood. And I'm not being too kumbaya when I point out that the transition to electric vehicles is going to require residential energy production to contribute to the overall increase in supply that's going to be required. You pair that residential energy production with residential energy storage, and we'll all end up with the added renewable capacity required to meet that additional demand, as well as a more stable grid as a whole. Next up, we have Wayne Cullen. He points out that things are way better down under. His quote is, as a certified installer of Tesla batteries down here in New Zealand, I can report that their tech support is great. Plus, their information online is enough for an installer to complete most installs without issue. The common problem will always be enough good installers to fit demand. We don't have the full Tesla solar roof, nor do we install without rails. We do use the S5 system on standing seams, though. A shortage of batteries in New Zealand, they just can't supply enough. Love Tesla. With them, there's hope. Enjoyed your podcast. Thanks. And I think you guys are way ahead of us in the United States. Lucky for you. You know, Tesla here, they just can't get out of their own way. You know, it's where I think that they can make the biggest improvement by handing installations over to those third-party installers. You know, there's a lot of promise in partnering with new home builders too, but there honestly still may need to be certified third-party installers for those new home builders. You know, they're not going to, you know, come with that expertise right out the gate. Maybe there'd be some acquisition involved where they would acquire a third-party installer to ensure their capacity to do the installations, or maybe they train up their own people. But honestly, those third-party installers are going to be key just in rolling out the product en masse in the United States and the rest of the world. I hope you guys get the solar roof soon, but as you say, with the shortage of batteries, it's tough to roll out solar on scale. But shout out to Jordan Giesecke of The Limiting Factor. Best podcast name ever. Go subscribe to his channel, you know, especially if you want to get detailed knowledge on battery tech and the trajectory of the industry as a whole. You know, he talks about Tesla plenty as well. But man, the limiting factor is batteries. Batteries, batteries, batteries. Next up, we have Brian. He had emailed me. He's at the Northampton Arts Council, and he's mid-install. Quote, "Hey, hope all is well. I used a referral code for my install. Hopefully you'll see that. I've been using my work YouTube account to comment on your videos. Thanks for your podcast. I appreciate it. Here are a couple before vids," end quote. Now, when his install is complete, he'll send some glamour shots and we'll check those out. But in the meantime, let's see what his install looks like as it's in progress. I should be able to play it here. Yeah. You can see here that the dumpster is being removed from the premises, which means roof tear-off has been complete. Very exciting step in the process. Once they start installing the solar tiles, they don't need the disposal any longer. Most of the fasteners have already been installed, and the ones that have yet to be installed, of course, don't have you know, refuse associated with them. We have the next clip here. This is the front of his house. You can see the porch has got a little bit of underlayment on the porch roof. Beautiful sky behind it. This is a really nice frontier style home. I see there's a porch on the side. I think we get a better look at it later. But the roof overall is pretty simple, so there's not probably a lot of complexity cost involved at this roof. And the underlayment looks like it's in good shape. Let's take a look at that next clip. You can see here that the underlayment's been installed. It's much later in the day. It looks like it's the same day, in fact. And he's going to give us a little look around the house. As we come around, this should be the... we're probably on the north side now, coming around to the east side, and we'll end up on the south side of the house. I probably have that wrong, actually, because the sun is setting on this side, so we're probably coming around to the west side of the house. That's why it's illuminating this side of the house specifically. And that deck goes all the way front to back of that house. That's very, very nice. Oh, and it's a log cabin look. Very cool. You can see the underlayment here on this other side. And, yeah, they're lifting the underlayment, getting it in position right before they adhere it in position. Very cool to see them working, and huge congratulations, Brian. We can't wait to see the video of the end product. It's going to be awesome. And thank you to Trevor and to Wayne, to Brian for their input on this podcast. We want to hear from everybody. Send your YouTube video links, comment below, call 203-816-5150, or email teslapowerpodcast@gmail.com. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll cover a bit of news. All right, so the LA Times reports on a bit of a battle between the contractor's state license board, the CSLB, and solar installers in California. Quote, CSLB sent shockwaves through the solar industry this summer when it ruled that rooftop solar companies would no longer be allowed to install batteries, an increasingly popular tool for keeping the lights on during blackouts, without getting a new license that might require them to overhaul their workforce, end quote. Now, frankly, I'm surprised that they weren't already required. You know, the Tesla crew that installed our solar roof here in Connecticut was required to have licensed electricians on the crew to do all of the electrical work. California isn't known as a right-to-work kind of state. You know, the fact that unlicensed workers have been allowed to install batteries at all is surprising to me. And I'd say, I don't know, any friction in the process seems like it would be unhelpful. But I don't have any problem with electricians or the certification process. I'd say it might be a little bit more difficult to justify if there aren't demonstrable safety issues that the certification board is working to remedy. You know, I'd say that means they probably don't have a compelling reason to get in the way, but the article goes on. Let me pull it back up here. You can see way down here, 60,000 residential batteries have been installed in California, and nobody can cite a single example of a serious safety incident, end quote. So I'd say that really weakens the CSLB's position and makes it much harder for them to justify this row. It all just seems for nothing. But we'll keep an eye on it in case this leads to difficulties in getting solar installed in California. Next up, we have an article from Forbes. Their article is entitled, "The Only Solar Shingles Buying Guide You Need." Let's read a bit. Quote, I really was pretty interested in the brands of solar shingles. They went through a bunch of reasons why you'd want them. Of course, we know why we want them. And those brands that they are looking at are Tesla, Dow Powerhouse, CertainTeed, Suntegra, and Luma. Now, Tesla has competitors. Tell me more. I am intrigued. Let's start with Dow Powerhouse. So I can take that full screen. Dow Powerhouse. Shingles no longer available. Huh. I mean, that's fine. So we'll just go to the next one. That would be CertainTeed, right? So let me pull up CertainTeed. You see here why the future is bright for solar shingles. But if you look at the photo, I mean, that looks like solar panels to me. That's the only photo I see. I don't know. Let's look at Suntegra. Let me pull that one up. So these are the Suntegra solar shingles. I don't know. It doesn't look that great from this photo. Scrolling down, I mean, I see some resemblance to the Tesla solar roof tile, but they don't look very good. And these photos down here, I mean, again, they just look like regular solar panels, or maybe like slimline solar panels. You know, they do have two products though. So let me pull up the other thing. Those were the solar shingles. That other product they've got are called solar tiles. So let me pull those up. So this is the page with the solar roof tiles. You can see that they've got the title over the solar tiles themselves in this render. I think it's a render. It might be a photograph. It's really kind of hard to tell. But from this angle, I'd say it looks okay. You know, let's take a look at the other photos that we've got in here. Do we have some more photos? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Just from other angles, it doesn't look that good to me. You know? It just depends. You know, if you're looking from that rendering angle, it looks pretty good. But these more oblique angles, not so much. So, I don't know. I'd say it's all not very encouraging. I don't know. Maybe Luma's the one that really offers something compelling. Let's take a look. Let me pull it up. So this is Luma Solar. And, I mean, they don't even show any photos. This is just a product page. And they point out right here, integrate with other materials. And, I mean, they call it a solar roof, but it doesn't look like a full system. It's just a tile. And because it notes integrates with other system, it's probably because you'll need those other materials to finish the roof. So I was really confused by this article. I even checked the date. It just seemed woefully out of touch with what's actually out there on the market. But this was published just a few days ago. So if I bring this back up, you can see. Of course, I killed it. You can see that it's essentially a sponsored article. There's a advertiser disclosure at the top, and there's an editorial banner at the beginning of the article. And that sucks. It sucks. I mean, what kind of garbage content is Forbes proliferating with this? You know, I was legit excited to read the article just to find out this was absolutely useless. So, I don't know. I'll be hard-pressed to be citing any other Forbes advisor content from now on. Just a huge waste of my life. All right, let's pull up the next article. This one is from Torque News. They are talking about the Tesla Solar Roof competitor, MegaSOL. Let's take a look. MegaSOL, a cool Swiss alternative to Tesla Solar Roof. The Swiss manufacturer MegaSOL has presented an update to its Match solar tile. Its new solar cells disguised as tiles. An interesting and potentially good complement or alternative to Tesla's solar roof. If we scroll below the advertisement, the Swiss manufacturer has developed photovoltaic tiles available in the usual formats and in different colors. With a special coating, even the glare effect of solar modules can be eliminated. However, you know, the smaller format solar cells are less productive and more expensive than classic roof systems, which is, you know, a known issue with this type of product. You know, we're paying for the aesthetic look, not so much for the efficiency. But tell me more. You know, let's take a look at the article. Let's see if they've got some pictures of the product to, you know, kind of entice me and give me some more good information. You can see their title photo looks very familiar. And if we go to the next photo, that's an advertisement. This one, again, looks very familiar. In fact, there's a Tesla in the garage down there. And if you roll over it, do you see that? The tooltip says Tesla Solar Roof, courtesy of Tesla Inc. Oh, wait. Next photo, that is the Tesla solar tile. Another ad. Again, the Tesla Solar Roof. So, I don't understand what's happening. This is an article about MegaSOL, or is it about Tesla Solar Roof? It's really pretty irritating. So let's just do a search for MegaSOL. We'll find it independently, and we'll see what it looks like. I mean, obviously I've pulled it up ahead of time, but let me pull it full screen so you can take a look too. You can see here it's not even an actual photo. You know, I'm feeling lucky. Nice render. It's not amazing, but not completely offensive. Interestingly, they only list compatibility with these few products right here. Compatibility implies that you must use other items. You can't just use these tiles. Not great. And they don't seem to have finished the website. You know, under system components, there's just nothing. It just stops. There's a contact page and that's it. I mean, this could, you know, this is a Swiss company, so it could just be that the English site wasn't finished or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe this is your thing. Maybe you really like what you see here. I got to say, I don't love it. More importantly, I think this is a sham of an article from Torque News. You know, I've cited them before. This is just really tough for me. I'm happy for Tesla to have some real competition. A real competitor, honestly, will make Tesla better. It'll make the whole marketplace better. But this is some clickbait garbage. And I'm a little pissed off about having wasted my life on. Let's go to a real news outlet. This one is CleanTechnica. They bring us great new energy articles, a lot of them in depth. I mean, some of them can be fluff articles, but for the most part, they're pretty solid on information. And this one gives us a breakdown on NREL's annual cost report on solar generation and battery storage. Quote, let's take it full screen. Costs continue to fall for residential, commercial, rooftop, and utility scale PV systems by 3%, 11%, and 12% respectively compared to last year. In a change from previous year's reports, balance of system costs have increased or remained flat across sectors this year. However, this increase in balance of system cost was offset by a 19% reduction in module cost, causing overall costs to continue their decade-long decline. End quote. And this is part of why the transition to renewable energies is inevitable. They're just going to be the cheapest, best option. And in spite of those soft cost increases, the overall cost has decreased because the modules are so much more cheaper to make. The higher scale they achieve, the more cheaply they're going to be made. And those soft costs, of course, got my attention. You know, why are they going up? What do they consist of? So let's take a look at what's in those soft costs. So if I bring this full screen again, it's the smaller version that has the inset that shows the soft costs. You can see the following: the PII, the transmission line, the sales tax, the overhead, and profit. But of course, what the hell is PII? You know, it took me a bit to find it, but it's in the tiny printed notes. Way down here, I can barely read it. I know you can't. But it says that PII is permitting, inspection, and interconnection. Well, let me be the first to say that I want to further break down of the soft costs. I mean, it's 2/3 of the total costs of this system, or of PV systems in general. I mean, just look at that. You know, if you include installation labor, I mean, we're talking, I don't know, we're talking almost 3/4 of the system. And I don't know, can all that really be taxes and profit? I mean, it's enormously suspect. If you take every $2.75 in the smaller graph, it's $1.50 of that is not in any way related to the material cost for installation. It just, I don't know. Maybe some of this could be tariffs on the imported solar panels. Is that what it is? I mean, the rest would be, what, sales tax and administration. But isn't the administration for permitting, inspection, and interconnection, isn't that all like government fees? I don't know. If anyone's watching and has some insight on PII and the other soft costs that go into this, send me some resources to read so I can get a handle on this. But in spite of these soft cost increases, the overall cost still went down. So I expect this report doesn't take into account government incentives in any way, because those are going to be on a rebate basis. So you have to outlay the cash first and you would get money back from the government later. But I'm sure there's more to this story. If you know about it, please educate me and educate the rest of us. It'd be awesome. And let's take another quick break. When we come back, I'll give you a quick preview on my wind energy research. So I did a lot of research on wind. I just wanted to see what options there are for, you know, beautiful small footprint options. Something that I might want to put on my own property, you know, to supplement the solar roof's electricity generation. Because I can't read. I started on YouTube, like a lot of us do, right? I'm not alone, I hope. A quick search on YouTube revealed that there are 2 main wind generation options. I mean, I kind of knew about them. There was HOT and VAWT. HOT, you'll probably know as horizontal axis wind turbines. This is what most of us are familiar with. You know, they're the ones that go around like airplane propellers. VAWT is a vertical axis wind turbine, and I knew these as egg beaters when I was a kid. I grew up in Modesto, California. We used to go over the grapevine to the Bay Area, and you'd see these like crazy, like, I don't know, like heart-shaped, like parentheses-shaped windmills we called egg beaters. But let's get a quick introduction from these from another YouTube channel called Just Have a Think. Here's a clip.
They do have some advantages though. They're obviously much more compact than HORTs, and they can take energy from the wind regardless of which direction it's coming from. HORTs have to have an extra mechanical setup inside the tower called a yaw system, which turns the turbine into the prevailing wind so that the blades can keep rotating. So vertical axis turbines have the potential to provide very useful energy in more urban settings where space is at a premium.
So now that we get an idea of why VAWTs are helpful, let's go to engineering with Rosie to get more detail on VAWTs and how they're working. How efficient are they going to be?
Vertical axis turbines are appealing for really different applications than horizontal ones. If you want to put a wind turbine on your roof or in your yard, for example, a vertical axis turbine is likely to be a better choice than a horizontal axis turbine. So for this reason, a lot of DIY and off-grid enthusiasts are interested in vertical axis turbines. And that's actually where I started looking into it myself. I wanted to make a backyard turbine just for the engineering challenge. Now, as I've gotten to know more about vertical axis turbines, I've learned that they can be very simple or they can be efficient, but they can't really be both. And by
So she's pointing out, you know, with her engineering expertise, she goes into a lot of detail. And I've got another link in the description on where she goes into the VAWT text specifically. I thought it was excellent. Go watch it, you know, on your own. It's really outside the purview of this discussion. But what I do want to share is why Rosie doesn't think any of these will amount to much of anything. Check it out.
So what does that mean? Should we ignore all small wind? Dismiss all vertical axis wind turbines as rubbish? I don't think so at all. Backyard wind can be fun, it can provide a valuable source of renewable energy where the wind resource is good, and it can be an excellent complement to solar in off-grid systems. I hope this video didn't feel too negative. I don't want to be a party pooper. I don't want to burst the balloon of anyone who's keen on renewable energy and making it in their own backyard. I just really hope to focus that enthusiasm towards technologies that are likely to actually make a meaningful amount of green electricity someday, or at least to not divert resources away from technologies that can. I noticed while I was collecting headlines for this article that many of them were phrased as a question, which I think is a neat way to get the sensationalism of a bold claim, get that clickability, but without technically endorsing the company's questionable claims. Have you heard of Betteridge's law of headlines, that any headline that ends in a question mark can be answered by the word no? Well, it seems to me that that has never been more applicable than on the topic of weird wind.
Weird wind. So I saw a picture of that power pod. That was something that I was particularly excited about. That was one of the things that kind of got me thinking about it. And you know, you see those like you know, images in the back of your mind. It kind of gets you thinking, and I don't know, it's very subliminal kind of stuff. But of course, just because there's a nice picture of something doesn't mean that it's got some actual utility or even promise as a product. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom of this, we can see still in development. The PowerPod is has not yet reached minimum viable product, which means it's nowhere near the kind of efficiency that's going to make a difference to your power needs. So I don't know, little bit of a bummer, but I might need to tamp down my expectation that Tesla will release a residential energy generation product. Boo. But I will continue to investigate. I can't imagine that it's hopeless. It's just not going to be something that I was hoping would be so compact and beautiful. Definitely doesn't look good, I should say. So I have zero interest in hyping some pie-in-the-sky energy generation option. I only want to spend time on practical solutions that are available to me today that I would be interested in putting in my yard. So makes me a bit bummed on the wind front, but I look forward to someone proving me wrong. Come on. And let's talk about solar production, right? So for the last few days, things have been looking pretty bleak. It's not just that they're, the days are getting shorter, but it's that the weather is getting crappier. So let's take a look at some of the details I pulled up. I think I've got, yeah, here we go. So you can see the insert here. You're not going to be able to see enough of it, so I got to take it full screen. In fact, I don't even think that's enough. So let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, okay. So you can see this week we've generated 135.5 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is, nothing to sneeze at. Our average generation was 24 kilowatt hours per day. Per day. Here I wanted to show the monthly generation. This is 319 kilowatt hours this month. Because that's something that's a lot easier for me to compare with my brother-in-law. Here's a snapshot of his system, his standalone system. We can see that his system, has been outperforming mine the last few days. For the month, though, he's only at 301, so I'm almost 50 kilowatt hours more than him over the last 15 days. But today he generated 17.5 kilowatt hours of energy. And if we look at my daily generation today, I only generated 16.2 kilowatt hours. So it's a little bit of a reversal from what we were seeing, you know, last week or last episode anyway, when we took a look. And when we zoom out, we see that, you know, production's pretty close this month. I wouldn't say that we're pulling way out ahead, but it'll be interesting to see how they compare for sure over these winter months. We are still on track to cover only 40% of our current electricity usage, though. There's just got to be a way to produce more of our electricity ourselves. I'll bet, you know, the movie Back to the Future was probably eerily prescient with their Mr. Fusion portable reactor that works on garbage. That'd just be so funny. And, I mean, straight up, how awesome would that be if we could fusion our garbage to make more electricity than we ever dreamed of making? Anyway, that will end episode 33 of the Tesla Power Podcast. Thanks for sticking with me. You are welcome to use my referral code. You'll be able to save $500 on a purchase of a solar roof and $300 on purchase of solar panels through Tesla. You'll go to ts.la/Aaron62310. That'll take you to a website that'll look like this. Take it full screen. And you'll need to place your order from this screen in order to get the benefit. You'll click on the Order Yours, either on the Tesla solar roof for the $500 reward or on solar panels for the $300 reward. But thank you for sticking all the way to the end. I'm your Tesla residential energy community organizer, Aaron Brady. Let's do this on the next video.